Is there a set formula for the YouTube algorithm? Should I start a separate channel for shorts? Should I start a separate channel for my video podcast? Or should I keep it all on the same channel?
The ideal length is as short as possible, but no shorter, as long as you need for the story, but no longer.
So how can a creator get their shorts viewers to watch their long form videos?
We make this beautiful video and it's the algorithm's job to push it in front of as many people as possible, when really the algorithm serves the viewers.
In this episode of the Think Media podcast, I think you're going to learn everything you wish you knew about YouTube, but were afraid to ask. Ultimately, I'm going to be talking today with a YouTube employee that's going to be covering subjects like the algorithm, like the new multiple formats, podcasts, shorts, tips for all of the above, as well as things like copyright strikes, fair use, the community tab. And we're going to be busting some myths. This is a wide-ranging conversation, and I'm excited because our guest today is Rene Ritchie, who is not just a YouTube expert himself, a current YouTube employee, but also a YouTuber himself with over 328,000 subscribers, making videos about technology and what it means for culture and our lives, and is YouTube liaison on Twitter, is actually part of multiple Twitter accounts, multiple YouTube channels. And so we are going to dive deep today with about 642 questions that I've written down, many from our community. And so Rene, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's just dive straight into it. We fired off a few questions, and Katrina actually asked, is there a set formula for the YouTube algorithm? A lot of people complain that the YouTube algorithm sucks. For example, people get popular overnight versus those who've been posting consistently. Really, how should we be thinking about the algorithm?
Yeah, as mutual friend Todd Beaupre likes to say, when everyone succeeds, it's because of them. When everyone is in trouble, it's because of the algorithm. It's because of him. So I think that's just like, as creators, that's just our coping mechanism. And I totally get that. But I think like the best way to look at the YouTube algorithm is all the algorithm tries to do is to understand the audience and audience behaviors. So it wants to see like which videos are the audience enjoying. And part of that is competitive. It's like if we both make videos, the audience, they have agency. They get to choose. They can click on your video or my video. They have limited time and attention. And if they watch your video for longer than my video and maybe watch another one of your videos afterwards, your video is going to do better than my video. And the algorithm is going to understand that. It's going to understand videos that you watch. So it starts to understand what that video is. Videos, people who watch videos similar to you, but haven't seen that video yet. And then it's going to rank that based on things like satisfaction and personalized set of rankings based on like what you enjoy, what you interacted with in the past. And then it's going to decide which of those videos to show you. And if you think about it, YouTube doesn't push videos for creators. It pulls videos for viewers. And I think as creators, that's always hard to wrap our heads around. We think we make this beautiful video and it's the algorithm's job to push it in front of as many people as possible, when really the algorithm serves the viewers. And when they come to YouTube, it fills their phone or it fills their computer screen with, at first maybe up to 8 different videos. And which one are you going to click on? Your video might be in the bottom right and they see like a Marquez video or a Jimmy video or a Michelle Carre video, or maybe they see your video and they click on that. I got that impression. I didn't get that click. So I think that's the thing that would be helpful for creators to understand.
Yeah, highlighting some quotes. Don't think about the algorithm, think about the audience. And a better question than why did the algorithm not like this video is, why didn't my audience or wider audience I want to reach like this video? So replace audience or replace algorithm with audience. Question about multi-formats. YouTube has been adding a lot of cool things lately. Of course, we've seen that there's videos, and now on our channel homepages, we have videos separated out by live streams in the past. Then we added shorts, and now that's a whole nother tab. Now we've added podcasts. And then if you keep going, there's the community tab. So how should creators be thinking in a multi-format world? And the big question here is, creators are wondering, should I start a separate channel for shorts? Should I start a separate second channel for my video podcast? Or should I keep it all on the same channel?
Yeah, I think YouTube right now, it's all about options. Like these formats of videos exist, and YouTube, it's hugely popular now for short form videos, 50 billion short form views a day, I think is what we said in December. But also for podcasts, there's just an enormous community and appetite for podcasts. And we want to give viewers like the content that they want to watch. And we want to help creators, we want to enable creators to create that content for them. And we don't want to artificially create limits. So if we can put shorts on the same channel, if you can put podcasts on the same channel, that might be the best decision for your audience. Now it's going to vary. We like to say in general terms, same audience, same channel, different audience, different channel. But if you think the same people who love your long form are going to love your shorts and are going to love your podcast, we want you to be able to do that. So we added things like being able to turn a playlist into a podcast, separating out episodic analytics so that you can better understand how the podcast is performing, giving you all those tools. But it's also like Bryan Cranston can be in Malcolm in the Middle and in Breaking Bad. But if that was one show, it'd be really confusing for the audience. So you have to sort of think of just because you're one creator doesn't mean everything should be on one channel. It should be more like flip it around and think like a viewer. And what would the viewer best understand on that channel or best enjoy?
If you were to start a podcast on your channel at Rene Ritchie, where you're talking about technology, would you keep it on the same channel?
I would if that podcast, like for example, if I was going to go every week and go through all the news, like the top news on tech meme, I would do it there. Or if I had a guest that was deeply, like if I had Marquez on one week, I Justine on the next week, I would absolutely keep it on the same channel. If I was doing something like adjacent to it, where it wasn't like I didn't think anybody who watched my regular videos would also want to watch those videos, or especially if it was like one or two steps adjacent, like I was doing something about movies, or I just don't, I don't want to confuse my audience for me. My audience is there for the topic, and I want to make sure they get the topic that they expect on that channel.
Great. And are you uploading both shorts and regular long form videos on your channel?
I'm playing around with it. On the YouTube channels, I'm doing a lot of shorts and a lot of long form. On my personal channel, I've experimented with long form. I really like, sorry, experimented with shorts. I really like reply with shorts. I want to start leaning into that a lot more because I love the idea of conversational YouTube where I see a comment, I hit the button, I record a short, it's in line with the comments and it's in the feed. Because there are whole channels now where people are just having conversations with their comments. And I think that that's a really new and intriguing sort of meta for video.
So quickly define that. What is reply with shorts?
So if you have a long form video, a live video, or a short form video, and you get comments on that video, you can go to the reply section, and on the right on mobile, there'll be a little shorts button, and you tap that, and it'll let you either record or upload a short that responds to that comment, almost like back in the day of like reactions, like responding videos. And it'll also put a sticker with the comment on it. So if anyone taps that sticker, it'll take them back to the original video and the original comment. So it's a nice way to sort of, because before I think shorts over-indexed on discovery, under-indexed on community, almost the opposite of live, where live was great for community, but not so great for discovery. And this sort of adds that whole community aspect into shorts.
And so I would imagine you could just kind of go raw off the cuff and record a video up to 60 seconds responding. But if you're replying with a short, you also could build it out 5, 10 seconds at a time, add in some examples and actually craft a quality short because it not only is replying to that comment, it's also in the feed. And so it could be kind of a jump off point for inspiration and a short that, again, rather than just one 60-second recording, you may show some B-roll in there, cut back and forth. Shoot, you could probably add music. I mean, it's the proper short creator, correct?
Yeah, and we've seen like whole channels of this now, especially like like fandom channels where someone gives a hot take on the movie, someone comments on that, they respond to the comment, someone comments on that response, and you have a whole chain of shorts going on.
That is very powerful. Do you have tips for creators that want to do video podcasting specifically? And what is kind of the opportunity now? The big podcast announcement has been made. If you categorize a podcast, it can be on YouTube Music. I believe that's in the US right
Yes.
now. And so there's the YouTube Music opportunity. There's the specific features. There's a couple discoverability things that YouTube has been saying. So what should we be thinking about as far as podcasting on YouTube? Any kind of best practices or just the opportunity that's coming down the line?
Yeah, I think in general, like it just gives you the opportunity to have your podcast served in audio form and in video form. And we've seen like there's a huge market now, a huge appetite for video. I don't think it's exactly the same as shorter form video where someone might lean in and want to watch every second. I think it's going to be more ambient where people are like watching a little bit, working, vacuuming around the house, working out, something like that. But there it does create a human connection when you can see the people and you look at them in their eyes and they're talking to each other. They have some graphics up. It just makes it a more understandable experience for some people. So I think even if you're concentrating on audio, think a little bit about the visual medium and how you're explaining it in general for videos. Like craft the experience that you want the viewers to have. I think that's it's always worth your time to just think out. Again, think like a viewer. If I'm watching this, what experience would I enjoy? And then try to give them that.
We're talking about multi-format. We've touched on podcasts and now back on shorts. A lot of questions coming in about, okay, I've been posting shorts. My shorts are maybe getting a lot of views, but they're not translating to my long form videos. So how can a creator get their shorts viewers to watch their long form videos?
Yeah. So I think the first big question is that what you really want? And and it might be that there are people who only watch shorts, and there are people who only watch certain topics on shorts. Like I will watch a short about dancing, but I'm not going to watch a 12-minute VOD on dancing, like a long form video on dancing. And then you have people who watch both. So I think like if you want to tap into that shorts first audience, which tends to be very young, very on the go, it might be worthwhile engaging with shorts, even if they're not like a billboard for your long form content. If you really want to use shorts as a way to promote your long form, when we first launched shorts, Todd has spoken about this before. We sort of didn't think it all the way through, and people started watching shorts, and then we thought they liked under 1 minute videos. We started recommending a ton of 1 minute long form videos for them, and that was just could not go on. So we split the watch history in half, and so for a while, the watch history and the recommendations for shorts and for long form were completely separate. Now what we're doing is going back and building what we're calling these bridges, like different lanes in these bridges. So if someone does watch your shorts, we're now more likely to and they also watch long form, because some people again just watch shorts. But if they do watch shorts and they also engage with long form, we'll be more likely to recommend long form videos from creators that they're enjoying from shorts. I think that's just the beginning of ways. We've also put a live avatar now on shorts. So if you're watching a short and there's like a ring around it, you can tap that and go immediately into the person's live. So it's like a timely notification for that. So we want to keep building bridges between all of those formats.
What's the ideal and best percentage people should be shooting for when it comes to viewed versus swiped away? And I don't know if you're able to disclose, but how is viewed versus swiped away even calculated, considering some shorts could be 3 seconds, some shorts could be 58 seconds? That's a feature now we could see inside of our analytics, which is viewed versus swiped away. And obviously, not swiping away from our videos is better. We want that percentage
Yes.
as high as possible. Any advice there or
Yeah.
information?
So that's one of the reasons we don't actually disclose what a time, how much a time of view is, whether it's like for a short or autoplay, because it might change depending on the conditions, depending on how the products evolve, and also we don't want anyone to game the system, like just make shorts that are only engaging for that length of time. But in general, we want like intentionality. We want to make sure the person intends to watch the short. It's basically like, are you clicking with your intention instead of with your tap or your click on a computer? And then this was a stat that we have CTR, click through rate, on long form video. And that basically means we show a bunch of impressions. What percentage of those impressions did people actually click on and start watching for a long enough amount of time that that view counted? And there's no impressions in a shorts feed. We just do views. And that's confused some people because they'll see like a short spike in views, which is really more like impressions. So a new
Mm.
short comes out and we'll test it with your audience. And if you don't have an audience yet, you're a new creator, sometimes we'll make a seed audience for you. And then it's competitive. Like, how are people responding to your short relatively compared to other shorts that they're watching at the same time? Are they watching less of it, more of it, swiping faster? Are they looping it? Like all sorts of behaviors. What's the response like? Viewed versus swiped away is analogous to CTR. It's just what percentage of people who are sampling your short are actually watching it. The same way you think about what percentage of people who are getting impressions of your long form are actually clicking on it.
You probably won't quote magic numbers, but is there a magic number or an ideal percentage? This was a viewer question for like average view duration of a short for it to go viral, or what ingredients would make a short go viral?
I think like part of it, like there's never a set number. It's the same thing on long form video. Like as a long form video, when it hits your core audience, the retention might be really high because they love you and they're more likely to watch a high percentage of your video. But then as it starts going viral and it starts being served to bigger and bigger audiences, those audiences are less and less well matched just because the volume is getting so great. But it's such a huge amount. The percentage of people watching, like 3% of a million, is so much bigger than 20% of 1,000, that you're still racking up views. And when you look at it, it's like, oh, like my CTR is way down, my retention is way down, but my views are way up. And that's the sort of pressure that going viral does. So I think some people look at it and say, like, what's the retention rate for like a short to go viral? It's the same sort of pressure. As more and more people see it, there's more and more people who will like watch it, yes, but also swipe away. So you'll see downward pressure on that rate. So I think like you have to get a sense of how your shorts typically perform and then measure your news shorts against that sort of number. Like when I get this many impressions, what's my usual retention? When I get this many impressions, when I have like a viral short, and outliers are nice because everyone loves that flat retention line, but doesn't teach you very much. Where when you have like an underperforming video or an overperforming video and you can see, oh, they dropped off here, or here are all these spikes. I guess that joke didn't land the way I intended it to land. That's when you can start to get like kind of gnarly data out of it. So I think like figure out what's a good retention for your shorts with the average amount of views you get, and then always try to improve that. Like see where it's dropping off and like think of like, is there a B plot or a joke or a beat or like a reset I can do that will get that to continue and compete against you more than you compete against YouTube.
Creators are very encouraged because now we can select a thumbnail for our short when uploading from mobile at the time of uploading. Do you think there will eventually be the ability to change thumbnails of previously posted shorts? And do you have any news in regards to the future of thumbnails for shorts?
Like as a creator, I feel like I want to control every little aspect of my short, including like fully custom thumbnails. But this has proven like a huge discussion point with creators, even some of the biggest creators. I think some people feel that for long form video, thumbnails have become an industry unto themselves. Like they can spend days and days and incredible amounts of money making thumbnails, like especially when you're at the top spectacle level of YouTube. So some creators like, we don't want any part of that. There's something beautiful about just uploading a short, not having to worry about like making a competitive thumbnail. It doesn't show up on that many surfaces. It's like in the shorts shelf in the shorts tab, and it's one less thing I have to worry about. Please don't do that to me. And then some people say, well, just don't use it. And like, but yes, but then it becomes competitive. So I think like right now we're in the stage of just collecting feedback. So like you and everybody listening to this, we'd love to hear everybody's feedback on it. We want to take our time and make sure we do it right, because I think worse than not releasing it would be releasing it like a bad version of it. So we'd love to hear any and all feedback on like keep it super simple or give us all the options.
Talking about videos, long form videos, standard videos, what is the ideal video length?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question. And like, I don't mean this as a cop out at all, but the ideal length is as short as possible, but no shorter, as long as you need for the story, but no longer. Because we're finding, especially now, people have so many options, not even on YouTube, not even on multi-format, but there's all these streaming services and people can go outside again. I mean, there's so much competition for attention. I think people can increasingly tell if you are just doing filler or like making a video longer than it needs to be, and the tolerance levels for that are lower. And you can see that in your skip, like if people are starting to skip through your videos or jumping through chapters, which I know is a little bit controversial, but sometimes chapters can show you where people would have just abandoned your video before, but because they see something interesting in a later chapter, they're willing to skip to that chapter. But that's an indicator that maybe the video is too long or not interesting enough to get them to watch through. So I think the ideal length is what you have to explain in as concise and interesting way, as dramatic a way as possible, and then don't pad it out any more than you have to, because people are getting more and more sensitive to that.
On your personal channel where you're talking about technology, do you have a target, or is it just random based on trying to make the video as concise, but if the story takes a while, then you'll go longer? Is there any video length you personally target?
I've been testing things. Like recently I went through a phase of like my Hayden Hillier Smith phase, where I just like over edited like everything, and a little bit of like the Mario Juice, Jimmy retention editor phase, where I was like cutting everything so it'd be maximum attention. And then because I had less time now that I'm working at YouTube, I went through a phase where it was like Charlie Penguin Z, Ludwig Mobile Mail, no editing. Like I'm just going to talk. I'm going to just like extemporaneously. And that's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that we do have like these incredibly tightly edited like Jimmy or Eric videos where there's not a second that hasn't been considered, and they get millions and millions of views. And then you have Charlie and Ludwig uploading like 3 times a day and the video gets a million views. And all it is like a little white iPod, like iPhone head pod, and people are just interested in what they have to say. So I think like I personally like to experiment. I think shorter is better. That's where I'm leading, but I would encourage anybody to figure out like what their style is, what their audience vibes with, and aim for that.
What is the best upload schedule for YouTube?
Yeah, so goes right back to replace it with the audience. So what is the best upload schedule for your audience? And if your audience does care about when you upload, then you should care about when you upload. And that can be things like breaking news, where they expect you to have timely coverage. Some channels put up 3, 4, 5 videos a day of breaking news, and that has a shelf life. And so it's very important to get that up almost immediately. Time of day doesn't matter as much, but the timeliness really matters. And then you have channels like Mark Rober once a month, Nile Red, I think like 2 or 3 times a year maybe, and they get untold millions of views, and it's like sciencey, and they have a very different expectation. So I think like figure out what, of course, like figure out what's best for your own well-being, like you, your family, everything that's important to you. And then one of the cool things I tried is I did one video, two videos, three videos, four videos a week for a while, and then I did videos published compared to average views per viewer, and I could see where people were hungry for more. And the more videos I published, they started watching more. And then as I got towards four, I could see that they were starting to choose between them. Like they were coming to YouTube and seeing two videos, or and they're like, I only had time to watch one. And that was like the law of diminishing returns hit in immediately.
If my views are dropping over time, what's going on? Whose fault is it? And what should I do?
So there's a couple things. Like I always believe like there are certainly times when like there are like bugs or there are things that go wrong or like the world's most brilliant video doesn't get the views that it deserves. But again, going back to it being a competitive market is it could be a lot of things. I always like to feel empowered. So I want to think like I have a lot of control over this. So for example, what I see frequently, almost most frequently, I think, is people just say, my views are down. Everyone I'm talking to has their views are down. YouTube must have changed the algorithm, which is not really how the algorithm works. It kind of evolves. It doesn't really change that much. So you go into analytics and you look, and most of the time you'll see a huge spike video. Like one video just smashed. It was incredible. A huge spike. And then that video dropped at some point. And after it dropped, the views went back to about normal, maybe a little higher than normal, but about what it was before that video. And people see that reflected in their analytics as minus views or like my views are down, when really it's that one outliner video. And then the people whose views aren't down don't respond to them. But the people who also have a similar thing will say, yes, yes, me too. And they think that, oh, something must have changed. But there's a lot of value in just looking inside analytics and seeing not just like what's happening on the month, but go to the year and see if there are any of those big spikes.
And from a 30,000 foot Google YouTube level, is seasonality platform wide something that is real? Or is it just, I mean, in one country, certain things could be up? Like on a macro level, is there waves of seasonality in terms of consumption?
Yeah, I think so. Like globally, it's probably harder to measure because like you have northern and southern hemisphere, and people have different schedules. But for a long time, I think we've talked about when people go back to school, there tends to be a change in viewership. Just be like they go back to they go to high school, they go to college, where people tended to mostly watch throughout the week during summer vacation. They go back to watching more on weekends than they do during the week. That doesn't mean you have to publish on weekends. It's like if somebody makes you a sandwich while you're napping and you wake up and you're hungry, you're still going to eat that sandwich. So you don't have to overthink it. But there tends to be more people watching like throughout the week in the summer in North America, and then more on weekends because they're busy at school or work. And sometimes that also changes their viewing habits. Like they watch different types of videos depending on like whether it's like a sports season they enjoy, they watch more sports content. If like a new political season is ramping up, they might watch more political content. If it's like September and all the big tech, like all the new phones are coming out, they might watch more tech content in September. So I think there's a lot of seasonality that goes around.
We're recording this on June 5th, 2023. And right now, when I look at when your viewers are on YouTube, the interesting thing using the sandwich analogy, we're making the sandwiches throughout the week. We don't really upload on Sunday. We usually schedule a short for the days we don't upload. But right now, shockingly enough, Sunday, starting at 7 a.m., is the time when it's the darkest purple inside of my YouTube analytics. Starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, of course, our local time, there is a 5 hour block when almost, it says very many of your viewers are on YouTube, and it's darker purple than any other day of the week. Obviously, we're speaking to an exact moment, and I'm just asking you for your personal opinion. The main thing is maybe why would that happen? It just happens to be June. People are watching obviously on Sunday. But would you recommend, in light of that data, that we are thoughtful about a proper upload at that time, or does it not matter and we shouldn't overthink it?
Yeah, I think that is more just how to calibrate your own expectations. So if you upload in the middle of the night, the acceleration on your views is going to be lower because there's less people around to watch it. So if you see a lower number than you expect in analytics, like, wow, this video is not taking off. Oh, it's the middle of the night. There's not a lot of people around to watch it. But if you saw that in prime time, you're like, oh, there's a problem with this video. I need to change this thumbnail immediately because people are around to watch it and they're choosing not to watch it. So I think those sorts of things, we want to give you as much context around it as possible. You can decide that my personality is I need to see instant results. So I'm going to look at this and see when people are up and give them the video then. Or it could be I don't like analytics. I don't care what it is. I'm going to put it up whenever. And it's just, I'm letting this bird free in the sky. And that's all I'm going to care about. We just want to give you the information to help you decide, make all those decisions for yourself.
So we've talked about videos and podcast and shorts, but there was recent news. Google is killing or has already killed YouTube stories. Why is that? And what is the future?
We started investing so much into shorts and into community posts and just putting more and more features in there. And it became clear there was an overlap. And there's always only so many hours in the day. Like even when you have these huge companies, there's so many engineers, so many hours, so many days. And the question became like, what's the best place to invest that energy? And stories started to feel a little bit duplicative and a little bit limited compared to what we could do if we invested more into community posts. For example, we have evaporating community posts now. We're working with stickers and community posts. We're really building them out to be more robust, and they can support a much wider range of content than stories could. And at the same time, shorts give you a much better like palette for video, and they give you like features like reply with a short, remix, all these things that you could add to stories, but then again, you're just duplicating features. So I think we chose, rather than have like these three things that we're splitting attention on, we're going to focus on these two elements of them and give them as much attention as possible.
So speaking of the community tab, why do I sometimes get new subscribers from my community tab posts?
I think it's because something resonates with them. Like subscriptions are interesting. They mean different things to different people. Like some people, especially old school people like us who've been on YouTube forever, it's like, no, this is my feed. I want this channel in my feed. I'm pressing that button. Therefore, it's in my feed. But I think for some people now, it's like, that was an amazing video. Subscribe is like a super like, or like a super, hands up. Or it's like, I have this set of videos that I just want to be able to go back and reference because I'm learning a new hobby. Like I'm getting into woodworking. So I'm going to subscribe to all these woodworking channels. So when I'm ready to learn woodworking, I go there and they're all collected for me. And then like a year later, they don't care about woodworking anymore. So like it serves all these different purposes. And some people probably come to your community posts and they like what you posted there. They discover your channel that way and they find that interesting. And so they subscribe because they don't want to lose track of you.
So to be clear, community posts can be seen by unsubscribed channels. Well, of course, they could be seen if they were sought out, but can they actually have a form of discoverability? And I'm speaking to my analytics, where it'll give me community tab analytics will show up, and it'll say it's not super significant, but sometimes it'll be 18 new subscribers gained from community. That means that there is some kind of potential distribution to non-subscribed channels, or maybe somebody that's never seen Think Media before. Is that true or false?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I can find that out for you. I do think there is some element of discoverability. I don't know how much or where and what surfaces, but it's also always possible that if it's a very low number, it's just people who unsubscribed and then resubscribed, or something else they fat fingered it while they were looking at your channel and corrected that.
Is there an ideal amount of community tab posts a day, or a limit? Is every day too much? Is 3 times a day too much? What are your thoughts?
I think like in terms of notifications, I think we notify like once a day, something like that. It might be once every couple of days. Notifications, we can discuss how important they are in a world where everyone is so busy now. Again, it comes down to your audience. Like some channels want to be totally engaged with their audience. Their audience expects it. It's like a very chat-based community. They want to be there every day. They land on the community post. They want to interact with you, and they might gobble up 2 or 3 posts a day. Other people might other channels, other topics, they might not be that interested. Or maybe you haven't nurtured it as much. So it's one of those things where, again, I would experiment. Like if you haven't done them at all, start with doing 1 or 2 a week. And if you see people are really engaging with them, add like a poll, add like a quiz, try the different formats out and see what really works well for your audience.
Are notifications relevant in a world where everyone is so busy?
Yeah, so I mean, like I think a lot of these things are when creators feel like, oh, my video didn't get as many views as it could be. My subscribers told me they didn't see it. They claim they didn't get a notification. And one of the nice things about YouTube is that we have all this data. So you can go in and you can see how many people have turned on notifications and set the bell to all. And like for my channel, it's 14%. But then right under that, I can see that 6% of those people then turned off notifications for the app. So for whatever reason, they're like, they put on notifications for all these channels. At some point, they're like, either it was annoying to them or they just needed a break. They just turned off notifications for the app, which means they'll never see those. So even though they have them on, never going to see it. And then I go down to traffic sources and I see like 1% of people have clicked on them. And to me, that just means that they're probably out, they're busy, notification comes in, tells them I have a video, but they're not going to click on it because they're doing a bunch of other stuff. But when they come back, they'll open up YouTube and that video will be on their home screen and they'll watch it from there because that's where the traffic source is telling me they're watching it from. Even like on the smartphone level, it seems like every year Apple or Google's announcing deliver quietly or stack notifications or mute notifications or do not disturb modes. Because I think like people are just dealing with a huge volume of this, and we forget to think like viewers. Like, yes, they have notifications on. Everyone should get my notification, but they have 100 or 1,000 channels they subscribe to, and it's not manageable.
Talking about copyright and fair use. So AI is a huge trend, and there's the movement of what people would call faceless channels. Some people making videos describe that they created a channel that's maybe using B-roll, which is legitimate to use, perhaps clips from fair use content. It may or may not qualify for that. They're using royalty-free music. They're maybe using an AI voiceover, and they're leveraging all kinds of different software and tools, and so using their creativity to put content together. Can an AI channel actually qualify for monetization? I know that's a loose quotes around an AI channel, but a channel with an AI voiceover, and yeah, can that qualify for monetization?
Yeah, I honestly don't know at this point. I think that's such a new question. It's such a new thing. And we know, like, from the past, not every human generated channel has qualified for monetization. And I don't know if this is one of those things where you hear Sundar Pichai or Neil Mohan or the heads of other big tech companies talk about, Microsoft, Satya Nadella talk about, like, do we need to identify AI channels? Like, should there be a big generated label on anything that's coming in via AI? How do we deal with this? How do we deal with likeness rights? How do we deal with performance rights? All of these questions. I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know about any of that kind of stuff. And I do see AI as a tool. I mean, like back in my day, we were airbrushing things. And then now you have like CAD programs and you have Photoshop and then you have like 3D brush program. So these are all tools that can make any artist better. And I'm guessing it's going to be on a spectrum from people who make breathtaking generated art that just comes from the depth of the human soul, and other people who have like an automated machine that's stamping it out like soda crackers. And there'll probably be like some line in between, but I have no idea where that's going to be yet. It's just way too new.
Now, listen, that was just part one of my conversation with Rene Ritchie. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss part two. And if you got value out of the episode, it means the world if you like, rate, and review wherever you listen to the Think Media podcast. Check out the show notes for links to everything we talked about, including Rene's channels and the YouTube Creator Insider channel. And I'll see you on the next episode.